Hey everyone, it's another day, another unboxing here on the Mobile Tech Podcast channel. I'm Miriam and this is the Honor View 20. Yes, this was announced at CES 2019, at least for global markets, and it is coming very soon, potentially to the US. We're not quite sure yet. And what's exciting about this is this phone in its previous version, the View 10, was sold in the US and was kind of a flagship from Honor. It had the best, one of the best chips you could get at the time, etc., etc. So this is the box. I'm going to unbox it in a second. I want to kind of walk you through all the edges so you can see what everything is. There's some iMacs here. This particular model has 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. So that's pretty cool. As you can see, not for sale because it is a review unit from PR. Phantom Blue is the color. There's a beautiful red color as well. Check out my Instagram feed for pictures of the red one. So let's get started, shall we? Dun, 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 dun. Nothing in the box. In the lid, I mean. And here's the phone. And before we get into it, you can see this crazy blue back with the V etched into it. Let's have a look at what else is in the box real quick before we go to the phone. So there's a divider here, cardboard. We've got a SIM removal tool with a little package here. And in there is something that I love, a lot of Chinese phones include, and that's a TPU case. Nothing else in here, folks. And so the TPU case is just a protective case that comes with the phone for free. In this case, it's translucent. The nice thing about this is that if you want to protect your phone without having to buy a third-party case to get started, you get something in the box. It's actually a really nice case too. It's probably worth like 20 bucks if you bought it. So that's always nice, and it's obviously perfectly fitted. As you can see, this has the European prongs on the charger, which makes sense because this is primarily sold in Europe at this point. So USB Type-A, Huawei branded, since as you know the Honor brand is a part of Huawei. I'm not sure, I can't read the fine print, it's pretty small, but I think this is a supercharger. It says Huawei Supercharge, so it's probably a 20 watt, potentially up to a 25 or 40 watt charger for fast charging. Huawei's been doing this on their Honor and Huawei phones for a while. And of course you need a special USB Type-C cable. A normal one generally won't do because of the special high current system that they use. So that means USB Type-A to Type-C. You can see the Type-C connector hiding right in here, and the Type-A is right over there. So that's the standard cable, but unfortunately you have to use their cable to get the fastest charging. But you know, it's in the box, so there you go. Now, as you can see, there's nothing else in here. No headphones, earbuds. This lifts up, but I'm sure there's really nothing underneath. So this here is the Huawei View 20, already gathering some dust. Let me remove these stickers. You love it when I do this. Hopefully we'll hear some nice sounds. Are we ready? Well, that didn't make too much sound, but it was there. And here, look at how crazy beautiful the back of this phone is. You can see that V shape. This is glass, so this is kind of micro etched in the inside of the glass because the glass is perfectly smooth. But yeah, it's really amazing. So the red is even more striking. And so the front here, let me remove the screen protector on the front. That didn't make any sound either. So it's the front of the display. So let me actually turn this on real quick and we'll have a look. Because there's something really special about this display that I want you to see. Just give it a second to boot up. It'll make sense momentarily. So it says magic, which is interesting. But here's what you want to care about. This right here. This is a hole punch display. This is the first hole punch display I've had the pleasure to review with this device. So what this means is that you have an IPS panel that has a tiny hole punched through it right here where the front-facing camera is. This is a 25 megapixel front-facing camera, and as you can see on the bottom here, there's a very small bezel, not too much. This is a 6.4 inch display, 1080p IPS, and it's pretty large, but as you can see, it really gives you that full screen experience, but with just this tiny little cutout for the camera, the hole punch as it's called. So I think that's pretty awesome, honestly. I feel like it's very exciting, and it's something new and different that I think we're going to see on a lot of phones in 2019. I'm going to go through the specs in a second, but let's talk about these cameras in the back here. They're very interesting. So what you have here is a 48, yes, you heard me right, that's 48 megapixel main rear camera. This is the new Sony sensors, 1.2 micron pixels, f over 1.8. So this thing should be really interesting. You probably won't shoot at 48 megapixel, but it can do things that's called pixel binning to improve the quality in low light and to do better zooming. And then there's another camera here that you see, and this is the 3D depth of flight camera, the same thing as you see on Face ID on the iPhone. So that means it can measure depth and 3D, sense 3D, which is really interesting. And then you have a flash and a fingerprint reader. And of course you have the AI Vision branding from Honor, because they always use AI on their cameras, and then the Honor branding down here. So that's really cool. This is the part of the phone that's really unique, alongside this hole punch instead of a notch in the front. Other things to note, this has a Kirin 980 in it. So that's the highest end chip from Huawei and Honor. Has this particular model that has 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. Also, there's a model with 128 gigs of RAM and 6 gigs of storage. But here's what's really cool. This actually has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. So that means this thing is really thin, right? You can see that. But it has a huge battery that'll last you all day or more even. And that's pretty cool. And here's the other cool feature. You have a headphone jack. And the headphone jack means you don't have an adapter for plugging in your music, which is fantastic. So speaking of which, I'm going to show you the edges really quickly. So headphone jack, a secondary mic, some weird infrared ports here, I think, for maybe remote controlling a TV. It's pretty common on Chinese phones. SIM slot on the left-hand side. I don't think this phone has expandable storage, but it has dual SIMs. On the bottom, you have a primary mic, USB Type-C, and a mono speaker grill. And then on the right hand side you get the power lock key, which is ridged but not colored, and the volume rocker right there. So that's basically the Honor View 20, a very beautiful phone that I'm really looking forward to playing with, because it's the first phone in my staple with a hole punch display like that, and a 48 megapixel rear camera. So a lot to be talked about here. And here's the other thing that's going to really blow your mind, is this phone is going to sell for about $500 US, about the same price as a OnePlus 6T, potentially even slightly cheaper if it comes to the US, which is really quite amazing. So anyway, that, my friends, is the Honor View 20 here on the Mobile Tech Podcast channel. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. Please like the video, tell your friends, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, subscribe to the podcast. MobileTechPodcast.com is where it's at. It's on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Overcast, pretty much everywhere, TuneIn Radio and other places. It's you should subscribe and tell your friends. All right, folks, thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for more videos from me soon. Cheers, everybody.